Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
All right, hello, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. We are ready to join our friend here, Gina Elise, our special guest today. But as always, I'm joined by Jeff Daly, the crayon-eating Marine out of Hollywood, California, and Ashley Garbolja Maldonado, who we're going to plumb the depths of this later, but she is way into 1980s WWE, which is just flummoxing to me. I got it. Just flummoxed. But Jeff, how are we doing today?
You know what? I'm doing ridiculously outstanding. You should all want to get to the level where I'm at. Now, I don't know if you saw me. I was trying to redecorate because I have an autographed Gina Elise poster, and I'm not that I'm trying to be better than both of you, because clearly that's obvious. But I also have a cool coin that they sell. Yeah, but I'm going to be completely unbiased, and I'm going to ask all the tough questions today. So be prepared,
Yeah, this
Gina.
is going to be ultra hard hitting. I'm certain of it. Ashley, how are you doing?
Well, now that you've aired my WWE dirty laundry, I'm okay, I suppose. Also, just...
Well, it turns out it's a very, very sweet story, but we'll save it for a later podcast. But it was, I got to admit, it kind of took me by surprise. You're into anthropology.
I am full of surprises.
Harry Potter and WWE.
There's one thing listeners will gradually learn over time, is that I am like an onion. You just peel back the layers, and yes, that was a Shrek quote.
Yeah,
And
onions have
also
layers.
like an onion, you make me cry a lot. So
I know I do, for good reasons.
All right, we are joined today by Gina Elise for Pinup for Vets, and I have met Gina, it's got to be almost 20 years ago now. And of course, Jeff knows her reasonably well, apparently enough to get a signed poster anyway. But in 2006, Gina started seeing news articles about underfunded veterans' healthcare programs, and she was touched by the stories about older veterans who lay in bed day after day, never receiving visitors, and reports about the severe injuries sustained by service members fighting in Iraq. So the more she heard about the uphill battle of these wounded warriors, the more convinced she became of the need to produce a project that would bring in funds to support all kinds of hospitalized veterans. And we will go into how that support manifests itself. But Gina, thank you so much for joining us here today. We hope that our pre-show antics didn't scare you off too bad.
I'm so happy to be here.
We've kind of had a wild day already, haven't we, Jeff?
oh yeah, snap.
Gina, talk to us about. We all here know what Pinups for Vets do, and I think the publicity you've gotten in recent years has probably made you a household name in the veterans community to most people who will listen to this. But tell us in your own words why you got into it and what exactly you do.
So, as you mentioned, it was basically back in 2006, and there was a lot of stories of troops coming back from Iraq needing medical care. And I just felt so strongly that I wanted to do something to give back. And I've always been a huge fan of World War II nose art. They used to paint these beautiful women on the sides of aircraft to help boost the morale of the troops, remind them of back home. And I thought I would take my love of that beautiful art form and create a fundraising calendar that we could use to support the veteran community today. And so we started producing the calendar, and fast forward 15 years, here we are. We do many different things for the veteran community, from a 50-state VA and military hospital tour where we deliver our calendars as gifts of appreciation to the veterans, to donating state-of-the-art rehab equipment to VA hospitals nationwide, to shipping care packages to deployed troops around the globe, to doing makeovers for female veterans and military wives. We do many different things to support the military community.
And I think the makeovers in those videos are really spectacular, and I see them on Facebook all the time. And talk to us a little bit about how you find these women to take these pictures and what their motivation is usually.
As far as our calendar, we put out a casting notice usually every year in the spring. So backing up, in 2006, when we first started doing the calendar, I was the only one in the calendar. I would just wear different colored wigs, kind of hoping that people would think it was just different girls. And as I started making hospital visits, I started getting emails from female veterans asking me if they could be involved and if they could volunteer. And that was a huge game changer for the nonprofit organization. I started bringing in the ladies, with me to hospitals, and just that immediate veteran to veteran bond, where did you serve and where did you serve? And it was just magic that I would witness between our female veteran ambassadors and the patients. And so I started taking myself out of the calendar and putting the female veterans in, because I felt like it's such a good way to start telling their stories. People see them in the calendar and they wonder, wait, she's a veteran? Where did she serve? What did she do in the military? And I like to think that it's changing the stereotype of what a veteran is, because they often tell me that they're mistaken to be the military spouse, not the veteran. And so hopefully it's getting, I know a lot of times people will default to think that a veteran is a man. And so when people see, these ladies in the calendar, they think, oh, wow, well, she's a veteran, and just, changing their perception a little bit.
Ashley, you are up.
Awesome. So I have been a longtime observer, follower. I know that I get your newsletter in my inbox, and I love the calendar. I'm a big fan of Pinup. I've done a little bit of Rosie the Riveter myself and some of my campaigns for women veterans. So yes.
We have these in our fundraiser store.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So I just want to know more about, what you're doing like currently, like what's on the schedule. I know COVID's kind of shaking some things up, so we can't go into hospitals. Like, how are you adapting and overcoming and still, going forth with all of the programs, projects that you're undertaking?
It's interesting that you use that motto, Ashley, because that's kind of how I've been explaining it to people. Obviously, we never expected this. We are in the middle of a 50-state VA and military hospital tour. We have visited with approximately 15,000 veterans at VA hospitals, military hospitals, state veterans homes. So when the pandemic hit, obviously so many hospitals are not allowing visitors for the protection of both the visitors and the patients. So I thought, okay, how are we going to adapt and overcome, as they say in the Marine Corps? And we actually started shipping out care packages to hospitals. So the staff is actually delivering these gifts on our behalf. And I've been getting such amazing letters back from, volunteer services at these different hospitals across the country. They're just so excited to be able to give these gifts to veterans. And I feel like it may even be more special now, because now they're not getting any visitors. So for them, to get like a calendar, or we started shipping out our coins, as gifts of appreciation, it might be a bright spot in their day.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I can just imagine everyone's faces just being like brightened up just by getting something for your gifts. Who are you partnering with? Like, who's helping you out? Like, that's just such an awesome feat to hear that you're mobilizing at this capacity given the situation.
Yes. I feel like you have to just adapt with that. Things are always changing. And so on our website, we give people the option, as far as the calendar, get one for yourself, order one for a hospitalized veteran, order one for a deployed service member. Same thing with our coins. I just made that an option with our shirts. Wow. Our website is Pinups for Vets.
All the stuff. I love it.
Yeah, all the stuff. So
yes.
Our website is pinupsforvets.com. So we are actually giving people the option to give back in that way. And so we're taking those items and shipping them out to different VA hospitals nationwide, little VA hospital care packages.
That is so cool. That's
Jeff.
awesome.
Okay. Gina, I'm sorry you have to see this, but I have to address something that Ashley did, but because not everyone can be from Michigan or be a Marine. So the phrase that you guys are misquoting is improvise, adapt, overcome. People always forget the improvise. It's super important. And if you're going to quote Marines, get it right. Okay.
Like very MacGruber kind of like extra statement in there. Like
I'm just saying.
I picture like
it's a peeve of
MacGruber
mine.
improvising, adapting, and then like the plan. That's how.
Overcome.
I'm so glad.
I
you-
hope,
yeah.
actually, I hope you have ruined Jeff's entire day.
Yeah, I'm so angry, but thankfully Gina's here to cheer me up. So,
And Jeff, I just want to say I always appreciate learning things like that, because I'm not a veteran myself, and so coming into the veteran community, I'm learning every day. I've been learning for the past 15 years, so I always appreciate.
well, you're in the veteran community as far as I'm concerned, and I was there when you had when you were on Mike Rowe's show and that big reveal, and to see the emotions from you and all of the people that were associated with you was amazing. And that brings me to my question finally, is it's clear and obvious to most the huge impact that, even if they never witnessed it, that having you all go into a hospital and visit people who don't get a lot of visitors, and to have your cheery vibes and selves and faces there, that's amazing. And I don't want to discount that, but I also want to draw attention to the fact that the people who volunteer get so much out of this. And the calendar seems a little creepy to me, because I feel like I know everybody in it. So it's because a lot of them come from my post. So it's the work that you guys do with each other is amazing. The bonding that's happening. I just gave a couple months ago some supplies to one of your pinups who has some severe medical issues going on, and another one of your pinups was like collecting stuff to take to her on Mother's Day. The bonding that you guys do is great. So if you can talk about, just for a second, who makes up Pinups for Vets, and I know some of them are Legion members, but we never got a solid number on that. But let's just try to give a little love to the people who are putting us on the screen. And if you can just talk about like who are the Pinups for Vets, and about that bond that happens.
So we call them Pinups for Vets ambassadors, are made up of female veterans, active duty service members, military spouses, very patriotic civilians like me. And what you said is so important, Jeff, and something that happened organically, that sisterhood between our ambassadors. And so many of the ladies have told me that volunteering with our organization has given them a sense of purpose again after getting out of the military, a sense of community again, that sisterhood, that connection. And that is something that I did not plan. But these ladies are coming together for a certain purpose, and that purpose is to give back to veterans. And they connect, on that. And they have been such an amazing support network for each other. And I feel like it's been really important for them after transitioning out of the military to regain that sense of purpose.
Did you follow up there?
That is so cool, because, and I'm, shout out, we talked in a previous episode, we talked about Jen Marshall. I know she's a pinup. The adjutant at my post, my good friend Simone, who's at Dinfos right now, coming home soon. And
Jennifer Campbell has been in our calendar.
Oh, our commander.
One of our ambassadors, she has said a quote that I think is worth mentioning. Javon, she's a Marine Corps veteran. She said about volunteering with our organization, "I came for the service, I stayed for the sisterhood."
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here to pay the bills, and we will be right back in a few seconds.
So you were discharged with a 20% disability rating, but now you can't hear so well and need help. Contact an American Legion service officer. Service officers are free of charge, and they help all veterans. Find one near you with our online tool at legion.org/service officers.
And we are back here with Gina Elise with Pinups for Vets. Gina, you talked about how you're getting a good reaction from VA centers, and I don't want to single any state out that might have been somewhat south of North Dakota, but you have had a problem in the past. And I remember when I saw it. I remember when I saw the initial story that you guys were not going to be allowed in there, and I thought, oh man, if they stepped in it. And for the next, I guess it was 2 or 3 days, every one of my Facebook friends, every single one of them was piling on, and just your people are just rabid when they know they're right. And it was spectacular. But can you talk about, how you've managed to change the VA to kind of bring them around to understanding what you're all about and what you guys do?
It's very rare that we have any pushback. I mean, so many hospitals are so
Right.
excited for us to come visit. And when we leave, they'll say, before we even left, they'll say, when can you come back?
Right.
Because they can see the impact that it has on their patients. But I think, and sometimes I think, should I have named the organization something differently? But I think that the name Pinups for Vets, the word pinup has a certain connotation to it, as far as us, we try to remain very true to the aesthetic of the 1940s. I'm a huge fan, like I said, of World War II nose art. I think that pinup is a celebration of women. I'm just a huge fan of the art form. And so I see the word pinup as a very positive thing.
Right.
But I think that if someone doesn't know about our organization and really do any research and they hear, oh, well, there's some pinups that want to come visit, with the patients, I think that's where there's been sort of a misunderstanding, is just with the word pinup. And so once they understand that a lot of the ladies that are going to be visiting are female veterans, and the fact that it's helping these female veterans as well, not only just the patients, but it's helping the female veterans, transition and, just again, like get a sense of purpose again, then I think it becomes more clear that it's a really positive thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened in that one specific case, is they really didn't know what they were getting into. And then they probably got 14,000 phone calls based exclusively on what I read on Facebook, because I know every military blog in the country was like, all right, we're doing a concerted push to get Gina into these hospitals. And it was over.
I have
pretty
to
quick,
say that
but-
I am not one that I don't like confrontation.
Right.
I just I want to go into the hospitals, do our thing, make people happy, and that's it. And so I was really hesitant to publicly state what was happening. And I said, no, this is not right. And I just felt like if the veterans in the hospital knew that, we were being prevented from just bringing some joy and happiness, that they wouldn't like that. And so I publicly posted on our Facebook page just about what was going on. And then I could not believe.
It
I
went
was
supernova really quick.
Our supporters are hardcore. That's for sure.
Yeah, they certainly are. Ashley, you're up.
All right. Let's see.
Do you want to show
About
her
art
your
form.
Jefferson pose? That's a
Here's the
callback
fun
to
story
our
about this,
pre-show.
Gina. So I was joking around with them. So a while ago, I actually put my name in the hat to eventually maybe be a part of the calendar. And that's not a plug, and there's no this or that. But very, very cool organization, because I was really excited about it. And they were joking around. And I was like, you know what? I know exactly, I know the artwork, I know the form, I've done a little bit of pinup, and I love it. And they were just teasing me. And
It wasn't so much that we were teasing you about that, because you are a lovely young lady and
Gina,
you'd be
I
great
don't know
at
if you've noticed.
it. Was
yet,
more
but,
your
I'm just-
awkward movements and
I'm really
talking
awkward.
about Jefferson. And I was
So
like,
a lot
what
of the
are you
ladies in the
talking about?
calendar, a lot of the ladies have never modeled before. And we
I'm just,
actually got
super awkward.
nearly 200 submissions. It was crazy. We get submissions from around the country. I think we got nearly 200. It's getting more and more every year. And I always feel so bad because we have such a limited amount of spots. And I like to have a good mix of the branches, like we can't leave out the Coast Guard. We need to make sure to have coastie veterans in there. And I don't want to have it too heavy, on any branch. So I'm really particular about how we cast it to make sure that there's a good representation of the branches. I mean, this year was just absolutely insane with everything going on, but we do get tons of submissions from amazing female veterans around the country who want to be in it. So that it's such an honor.
Gina, if we can convince Ashley to enlist in Space Force, can you guarantee us right now that she will make it in the calendar?
Well, we haven't had a Space Force veteran in there.
That sounds like a yes. Ashley?
Ashley, are you going
Out
into
of this world,
Space
Jeff.
Force?
Out of this world, Jeff. Mark, I can't. You're killing me.
Girl, you need to
Maybe
do that.
Maybe
You
we
need
could
to
have like a
Space
space
Force.
pinup. We could do
Right.
space pinup, like a galactic.
It could be like
pinup.
Area 51, and the flag could be like, we could pretend it's like the whole conspiracy theory of.
Show her your dancing
filming
robot moves. Those
Could
are
be
killer.
fun. Could be really fun. See, got some ideas for you. But my question. So is this primarily on the West Coast? Do you have like chapters in the Midwest, East Coast? Like, how do you have it configured so that way you have touch points all over the country?
Right. So we're based here in California. We don't have chapters, but we travel around the U.S. typically. And so, our goal is to visit at least one VA or military hospital or state veterans home in every state. And so we're getting there. We're in the 30s right now. I think we're like 31 states, something like that. So we still have a bit to go. But, many states we've visited multiple hospitals. Like California has many VA hospitals. So we visited many hospitals. So even though we don't have chapters around the U.S., we are still affecting the veteran community nationwide. And not only our hospital visits, but we donate rehab equipment to veterans hospitals around the United States. For 2019, we donated brand new rehab equipment to a VA in Pennsylvania and a VA in Arizona.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Jeff, you're up.
All right, I have a short list here of questions.
It's one question in 27 parts.
I'm ready.
I'm just kidding. So back to the improvise, adapt, overcome, Ashley. It's I'm curious because you still had a calendar. You'd have a calendar coming out this year, and I promised that I would work that in. You got a calendar coming out this year, and I'm curious because in previous years I've seen behind the scenes photography of those big calendar shoots. So you had to adapt, improvise, overcome. And if you could tell us about that process and how you got the photo shoots and all of that done.
Jeff, I went from thinking we are not going to have a calendar to having a spectacular calendar. I mean, I was thinking, how are we going to do? Because, with California, it was like shutting down, opening up, shutting down, opening up. So I was just monitoring, okay, when are we going to be able to shoot this? I was even thinking, should I have the girls do shots with their iPhones? I mean, I don't know. But finally, there was a period where things were starting to open up again. And I'm like, okay, I've never planned a calendar that fast in the past 15 years. It was crazy how fast I had to plan this calendar because I'm like, okay, I think we have like a 2-week, we may have like a couple week open window to do this. And so we only shot it at one location, which made it a little bit easier. This beautiful, botanical garden / wedding venue up in Ventura called Hartley Botanica. We cast the calendar. We shot the whole thing in only 2 days. And that's it. We're done. And so our graphic designer is currently working on it. We have amazing lady veterans that are in the calendar. We have everyone from Brittany, who was a jet engine mechanic for the F-22s. And then the second half of her Air Force career, she was a flight attendant for the Secretary of Defense. Our 2 co-stees right now are both getting their doctorates. One of us is getting her doctorate in Chinese medicine, another in psychology. I mean, these ladies are amazing. I have another one, Megan, who has been a therapist for 15 years. Just the ladies that are in the 2021 edition are incredible, and I'm so honored to have them as a part of it. So we got it done. And hopefully it'll be coming out in maybe late September. Our graphic artist, who's also a veteran, is working on the design and layout right now.
So it's going to be out in September. People might be listening in September. I don't even know. But what's the process for pre-orders and things like that?
So right now we don't have the pre-orders up just yet because I don't want it to be a long period of time between when people pre-order and then when they get it. So just, keep an eye out on our website, pinupsforvets.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter. So I send out an email, okay, pre-orders are open. So if you sign up for our newsletter, that's probably the best way to get a notification right when they're available.
That's awesome.
Normally I would just close it out here, but I'm actually going to throw in another question because Jeff obliquely referenced the micro thing. Could you talk about what that is for people that don't know? Because it was awesome. It was really cool.
It was one of the most incredible days that, one of the most incredible things that's ever happened in the history of the organization. So,
give some background on it.
I was, I was contacted by, a documentary film team telling me that they want to do a small documentary about what we do. And so I was telling them, what we do, hospital visits, makeovers. And so they said that they wanted to highlight that. So I said, okay, that's great. Little did I know that they totally trick you. So basically what happened was this team came out. It was a lot bigger than I thought it would be. And they were documenting, we had a whole day of makeovers for female veterans, and there was military spouses, Gold Star wife. We did a hospital visit. We, went to a veterans post to speak to them. Turns out at the end of the day, it was Micro's Facebook watch show called Returning the Favor, and they presented our organization with a donation of $30,000. So it was very, it was very moving, and I cried like a baby when that happened. I didn't expect it. They totally trick you to think that, it's just this small film team coming in, and it turns out to be Mike Rowe's show.
It was so great, and it got so many shares on Facebook. It was a wonderful thing to see. All right, Gina, we really appreciate you joining us today. We hope we haven't scared you off too much, and we wish you all the success in the world. Any last thoughts on what you want people to do?
I would say just keep your eye out on pinupsforvets.com, and thank you so much for your support.
All right, Jeff, Ashley, I will see you in about 5 minutes, which is actually next week's podcast. All right, see you guys later. Bye.